All right, guys. So if you had a Sniper, one of the early ones, and you're trying to convert it to the Sniper 2, here's what you want to do. Here's what to watch out for. Here's what you're going to encounter. So I really have to throw a shout out to Summit Racing. Thank you guys again for coming through in a clutch and saving me on this one. The original Sniper X-Flow that I had on this truck kept shorting out, resetting. I tried everything within my power to eliminate RFI, and it just didn't make a difference. The thing just didn't work flat out. The ECU was shorted out and it needed to go back to Holley, but with Holley's backlog, I talked to Summit because I hadn't purchased it that long ago. And they came out and said, hey, we'll upgrade you to the newer one. The only problem with that is, from that one to this one, you lose a lot of features. So like it cannot control boost as of yet. There isn't a version available. It's a lesser horsepower rating, stuff like that. So there are a few different negatives on it. But I will say this, 100% works better than the original Sniper. Now the things to watch out for. So the fuel lines, they've been switched. So instead of coming out the front or the back, they come out the sides, more like a carburetor. They have changed the linkage. That didn't matter so much in my application, but it might in yours. They did add a transmission kickdown. So that's that. The linkage has been revised. It looks like they added another section to it. So it's supposed to make it a smoother feel. Once again, that didn't really matter in my application. They now include a harness for the Hyperspark. However, as of yet, I didn't see an adapter harness to go to the Hyperspark ready to run. I had to make my own. That's not a problem, but Summit sent me one, and on paper it looked like it would work, but the ends were incorrect when I got it. No fault of Summit's. It does, if you read the ad listing, it looks proper, like it will work and be fine. It just, when I got it, it had the same ends as the harness does, so it wasn't going to work. A few other things. They switched some of the port layout, like the vacuum ports. So they moved a couple of them to the front, more like a carburetor, and they left one in the back. So that's not a big issue. Let me move this light. They did move the ECU to the side, and it's supposed to be more shielded. So, Ford guys with a distributor up front, or there's a couple other engines. That's something to watch out for. So it's supposedly better this way. I added some ferrite beads to the cables just to kind of get rid of it. I added noise capacitors to the coil. Geez, I tried the aluminum foil trick. None of it really worked. So I tried isolating it, running the sources directly to the battery, not just the power, but directly connecting even the switch to the power. The one thing I do not like is currently you cannot live tune this. I think I can make a cable. It's just an M8 4-pin cable to USB. So I don't think that's any big deal to make. As far as transferring the tunes, you can transfer the tunes. That's not a problem. They do have a bulk file transfer deal. All I did was, remapped it. It's not a huge deal to remap it and change it up. This one does work a lot better. I noticed that some of the IX settings are a little bit different. Supposedly it has a better non-contact throttle position sensor. I didn't tear it apart to see that, but that's supposed to be a thing about it. So that's nice. One less spot to pick up any interference. Hear my neighbor revving out his 4 cylinders, furiously 200 horsepower fighting for air over there. So they moved the transfer tube. It's internal now. So that's another thing. They definitely redesigned this. The only thing I've had a problem with is actually now they have an adjustment for the secondary throttle blades. I don't know if that's because they had them sticking or what, but actually getting the early one, I had to adjust it up to keep it running. This one, it seems to flow more air through the IAC, so that's something to watch out for. You may have to adjust both blades to actually get the steps right. The harness has been revised, so instead of having 97 different harnesses coming out the sides, front, back, left, right, all the harnesses come out the back. Once again, that's a little bit nicer. It makes for a nicer looking installation and easier routing. So I mean, some of the harnesses, why would you route them out the front? You know, Holley just, I don't know. Some of that was an afterthought. Getting through to Holley tech support, an absolute nightmare. They don't respond to emails well. I didn't have too great of an experience with Holley on that part. You know, typically I love Holley products. I've been using them for a long time, but I think they're overwhelmed and maybe understaffed on that one. So that's neither here nor there. But overall, the Sniper 2 definitely go. The interface is the exact same. As a matter of fact, I think the date on the software in mine is like 2011 or something like that. So you know it's the original display. They just changed the cable, which isn't a big deal. That display works. They're a little glitchy, like as far as the touch screen taking your inputs, but there is a calibration on it that helps. So that's definitely nice. So in the future, they're supposed to add a Bluetooth module. I've seen Holley post that they're coming out with a CAN cable to tune it. It's weird that they didn't release the cable with the Sniper unit. It seems like it would be an easy thing to do if you could redesign the entire thing, but they didn't. So I'm looking forward to that in the future. As far as now, it's, you know, save a log on the thing, take them and download the config file to the memory card, pull it out, put it in your laptop, whatever, and then you can make changes that way. That's how I've been doing it. It works. Not a huge deal, but just kind of slower when Holley's main thing was live tuning. So that's something else to watch out for. But overall, the experience with this Sniper 2, much improved over the original Sniper. I wish it had boost control. You can do a two-step on it. It does have fan outputs, stuff like that. You can, and guys, I've seen where they allow you to use the air conditioning kick-up for a rev limiter, but I can never get that to work. I've tried on this one and I tried on the early one, and it does not work. It allows you to change the input to it, but it does not function. So if anyone has a clue on that, man, post below as far as that goes. Now, that being said, I like the look of this one better. I definitely do. The throttle definitely is. So I noticed on the early ones, this was almost tight, no matter what you did. And now, before it moves, you can see there's quite a bit of slack there before the secondaries engage. So that gives it a little less of a jumpy feel. And you can see I've actually added double springs because the original one was so aggressive. I know guys put progressive linkage on it, and that was a thing. Again, you know, I didn't like that. Even with my loose converter, it made it crazy. Now, the other thing about the horsepower rating is it's rated for about 575 horsepower on boost. I guess it's got 4 100-pound injectors. So I'm riding it. It's almost out of fuel. Now going into the software, you can change it. So let's say you find 4 120-pound injectors that like an X-Flow came with, or a Super Sniper. It looks like you can change it and it will accept it. So there are ways to make this one read a little higher. Out of the box, when I look through the maps, it looks like it scales up to 21 pounds. So you do have room to turn it up. The only problem being is you can only turn down 4 big injectors so much. So 420-pound won't be a problem. 440-pound, you know, if you have an engine that only makes 200 horsepower at an idle, or 100 horsepower, whatever, you may get to where you cannot turn them down low enough to still have where the duty cycle still is controllable. But 120 pounds shouldn't be a problem. I might try that in the future, but as of right now, we're coming into fall and it's starting to already drop temperature up here in PA. So as of right now, the 100-pound injectors work, 7 to 8 pound of boost. We're close, but we still got a little bit of room. So for now, this works. I just wanted to get it back together, have the truck mobile, everything like that. What the original issue I had with the original Sniper, besides cutting off, is when it cut off, it would load the exhaust with fuel. And because it was at a higher RPM every time, which again signifies RFI, but there was nothing else to do to get rid of it. I mean, I saw people fabricating shields and stuff like that. If that thing is that inadequately shielded, that you have to shield from the distributor, then a little bit more R&D should have been done. Like I said, I like Holley. Originally, we had been in talks about sending out a test unit for me, and they just kind of, in the beginning, they were all for it, and then they kind of quit responding. So I bought one anyway, because looking at Holley and Tech and Ace's EFI, Holley's the biggest name, and you're like, man, it's hard to go against them. But I do know people that had good luck with each of the systems, and so I went with Holley. Plus it had boost control and stuff like that. Now, originally when I bought the X-Flow, the Aces was not able to, there wasn't a calibration released where you could run boost on them. However, when I looked into the software, the map sensor was capable of it. The system was capable of it. They just hadn't released the software or the maps to be able to scale it for it to read boost. Now they have. So that might be an option for a lot of people. I think they're under $1,000, and this is $1,250. Might be something to watch out for. The software, it's pretty similar. There's only so many ways to do that. But I felt like I've rambled on enough. So overall, I'm liking the Sniper 2. I can't say anything good about the original Sniper. It just didn't work. And the story is, and I tried having multiple other tuners that I'm friends with go through it, remap it. Nothing worked. It was just crazy. It was just the ECU would reset. And when it reset, it would also go to high idle because it thought it was restarting. But the ECU was actually frying. I tried a different relay because the original relay was junk. I tried, my fuel pump doesn't even run through that harness. I isolated everything. I even had the fan control separate. So I even used the Hyperspark as just a ready to run, so it wasn't going through an ignition box. I moved the coil. Man, I literally went through everything thinking it's something I could do. I even unhooked the alternator because it's a GM alternator with forward mounting points from Summit Racing, but it's grounded properly. It has the external ground, everything like that. And I was like, well, that's my last shot. I changed plug wires to the Summit Racing porcelain booted ones from the, what did I have? I had Taylors on it, and they were no difference. I changed coil wires, which you can see that wonderful one there. I thought maybe that was it. Nothing. I tried different coils. Nothing. It's just there. That one, maybe I got a bad one. Maybe your experience is different. I sure wish this one could have done boost control though. I really like the idea of having electronic boost control or being able to control nitrous and stuff like that. Hopefully Holley releases something like that in the future, but as of now, I'm pretty happy with this one. I've looked, it has its typical TBI carb / single plane intake distribution issues, but overall it works so much better. Like I said, I'll keep you guys updated the more use I get out of it, but as of right now, I would say if you're looking at them, the Sniper 2 is the way to go over the original Sniper. Maybe I just got a bad one. I'd like to say I did. But after reading around, it seems there's a lot of the same story. But of course, you know, the guy who's unhappy will post everywhere. The 100 people that are happy won't say anything. But that's what you need to watch out for. That's what you need to look for when you're converting from a Sniper 1 to a Sniper 2. Like I said, the harnesses are different, so it's not going to be plug and play. The linkage, it might not matter, but it is different. The fuel lines, you'll definitely have to work with something on the fuel lines. I had to remake mine. Not a huge deal, but for some people it might be. But I do like the look of this one better. I do like the styling of this one better. I do like the ECU on this one mounted on the side. So there are some things. The harness is nicer. It still doesn't look like it's shielded though. So that's something else to watch out for. Holley, for some reason, does not want to shield their harnesses. And I think that that's a huge factor on it too. At least the ends I see. I didn't strip the harness back. Maybe internally it's shielded and I'm not seeing it. But just something to watch out for, guys. Like I said, I'm not an engineer. I'm just a mechanic. It's just one of those cases of, I think they rushed it to market to beat a few other companies, and I just don't think the research was done. It's a great idea. I loved that it had controls and everything like that, but this one seems a lot better. And once again, thank you to Summit Racing. I cannot say enough about them. They've always treated me well, and it's another reason why you deal with someone like that versus an Amazon corporation or something like that. You know, Amazon themselves might not be bad, but those guys can disappear that are selling them and not back you up or have a small clause, where Summit, they will typically take good care of you as long as it's a reasonable request. All right, guys, I know it's a little long-winded. I've been talking a lot, but something to watch out for, something to look for. Thanks again for watching, guys.